practicing. So I grew up in rural Michigan, in a place where like people are kind of stuck in their ways. At the time, my hometown seemed like a place void of ambition, and every time I mentioned my bigger plans and aspirations to teachers and peers, I would be told to have a plan B. So I took on the role of the misunderstood kid and instead put everything I had into my plan A. And this master plan was to move west as soon as I graduate and to pursue my dream as a music producer and artist. And that's what I did. A month after I turned 18, like 3 months after I graduated, I moved to Nevada, which is 2,000 miles away from Michigan. I chose Nevada instead of LA because it's infinitely more affordable. My family was worried about me because I was going to be living with people I met on the internet. And while I didn't know what life had in store for me, there was no doubt in my mind that this was the right decision. Within a month of living in Nevada, I was backstage with like Pharrell and Migos and various other icons at the first ever Complex Con with my artist pass that granted me way more permission than I deserved, but I was doing it. Things were happening for me. But a few months after that, things were different. I was uninspired, lonely, and I was running out of money in the middle of the Sahara Desert. Once a month or so, I would drive to Los Angeles to go to like some kind of networking event or party or something, and just to feel like some kind of fulfillment, feel like I'm actually doing something and achieving what I want, but they were ultimately like unfulfilling and unsatisfying, and I would end up back in Nevada alone, trying to work on the next big thing, and just ultimately being uninspired. It took me a while to admit that I was unhappy and unsatisfied because I was afraid that that would justify everything everyone said back home. But after about 9 months in Nevada, I was able to come clean and say that things didn't work out as planned, that I was depressed and that I needed to do something about it. Nowadays, I try to think back on the moment that I knew my master plan was in trouble, and I think it happened almost immediately after I moved to Nevada. For most of my teenage years, I've been pretty incapable of crying, and I think it's because subconsciously, as like a 13 or 14-year-old, with everything that was going on in my life at the time, and since her emotions can be a little shaky at times, I knew I had to be the one that was solid. But a week after I moved to Nevada, I dropped my sister off at the airport to fly back home. I started my life of independence 2,000 miles away. And when I got home from the airport, I cried for the first time in at least 4 years. And when I would think about that moment, I had convinced myself that I was just overwhelmed with my life and my newfound independence. But honestly, I think that was the moment I realized that my plan wasn't going to work out. I had a gut feeling 1 week after I got there. The moral of this story is not to have a plan B, because all that does is distract you from what you really want and slow you down. But I do think it's important to take time to look around and take inventory. And if you're unhappy, be honest with yourself and do something about it.